So my Fad Diet project is over the Macrobiotic diet. So the word macrobiotic actually translates into great life. It is a diet based on the traditional Japanese diet. So food choices are based on yin and yang balance. So you can see at this photo at the corner, you don't want to have any foods that are on the extremes of the yin and the yang. You want to stay really close to that balance point. The diet is mostly characterized by containing little food of animal origin. It consists primarily of whole grains, so about 50 to 60% of your daily meals should come from whole grains, and then the other 25 to 30% should come from fresh vegetables. It is a diet that is very low in fat and protein, and it avoids highly processed or refined foods and most animal products. So, most macrobiotic diets include elements of Buddhism, along with a simple eating plan that eliminates dairy products, meats, and fatty foods due to their so-called toxic effect on your body. On a macrobiotic diet, about half of your calories will come from the whole grains and the rest from fruits, vegetables, and soups. In addition to white fish, nuts, seeds, pickles, Asian condiments, and certain teas, those can also be consumed on occasion. Certain vegetables, including potatoes, tomatoes, asparagus, and avocados, are restricted. And all of the foods you eat on the macrobiotic diet should be organic. When it comes to cooking on a macrobiotic diet, the foods are considered sacred, so you should prepare the meals in a peaceful environment, and your pots and pans and utensils should be made out of specific materials like wood, glass, or stainless steel. You should also not use the microwave or any other electricity. As for most of the diet and lifestyles, there's potential benefits and drawbacks. So the macrobiotic diet can be beneficial if it's done in a healthful way, but it may also have certain risks if poorly planned. So a macrobiotic meal would consist of primarily grains, brown and wild rice, barley, millet, whole wheat. Those are all recommended. The vegetables are the next most important part of your macro meal. So cooked and raw veggies should make up at least 30% of your plate. Leafy greens are strongly recommended except spinach, which is very yang, and it should be only consumed occasionally. Local and seasoned veggies are also preferred. And then when eating, you have to keep in mind the yin and yang properties of certain vegetables. The beans are, especially fermented bean products like temp or miso, are important to your meal. Beans should be about 10% of your meal. Temp or whole beans or legumes like lentils, chickpeas, those should be primarily where they're coming from. Tofu is also a good choice, and it contains some probiotics and aids in digestion. Fruit actually is rarely eaten in the macrobiotic diet. It's okay for snacks and some desserts, but it shouldn't be eaten more than 3 times a week. Tropical foods like bananas or pineapple should actually be avoided. So sea vegetables, those are actually very important in this diet, and they're rich in vitamins and minerals and considered essential for health. Soups are very important as well as balancing your diet, and they should be eaten daily. So soups that contain grains or veggies or sea veggies or beans are ideal. A miso soup is a very popular one. Fermented foods are recommended, and they can be pickled veggies or temp, which is also a good source of probiotic. Condiments and oils are used to prepare the veggies, and they are okay to have. And then fish is allowed maybe 1 to 3 times a week. And if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, then you don't necessarily need to include the fish. Whole foods and less processed foods are better, and this is one of the most important principles of the macrobiotic diet. So these are the foods that you really should not eat. It's best to avoid anything containing white, brown, or refined sugars. You don't want to eat artificial sweeteners, fruit juice. A lot of dairy is restricted. No milk, cream, cheese, yogurt, ice cream. Refined oils as well. And then the vegetables that are discouraged included potatoes, tomatoes, avocados, and asparagus. You should avoid caffeine and alcohol and heavy use of spices, and then any kind of white rice or white flour, and especially foods containing chemicals or preservatives. So this would be a sample menu for day 1. So you'd want to have some macrobiotic tea with nothing added, and maybe some fresh carrots and cucumbers, and some whole grain cereal with soy milk for breakfast. Lunch would be probably about a cup of miso soup and some whole grain crisp bread and a garden salad. And then dinner would be brown rice with winter squash and another cup of miso soup and maybe some fresh cantaloupe. If you wanted to have some snacks, then you could do like a handful of nuts or berries. So day 2, breakfast would be some steel-cut oats with fruit. Lunch would be some miso soup with whole grain crackers and some steamed kale and some more cantaloupe. Dinner would be brown rice and broccoli with steamed fish, although this is a rare type dinner, and some matcha tea. Afternoon and morning snacks would probably either be fresh veggies or some nuts or seeds. So a sample menu for day 3, some brown rice and winter squash for breakfast. Possibly some bean soup and Brussels sprouts with cantaloupe for lunch, and then just some lentils and root vegetables for dinner. So this diet has some pros and cons. The pros would be improving the intake of whole grains, which is lacking in a lot of our diets, so focusing on those would be beneficial. Improving your vegetable and fruit intake. This diet does encourage fresh veggies and salads every day, so that would be good. It's a very high fiber diet, so this could be helpful in reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease or certain cancers. However, there are some cons. There are several nutrient deficiencies that could occur with following this diet. It's a pretty strict diet, so it's a little bit unrealistic limitations for the majority of the population to be able to sustain. And you may have some unintended weight loss, which if you were a cancer patient trying to eat healthier, this would not be a good diet for them, even though it's saying it reduces the risk of cancer, because we don't want them to lose weight. And then supplementation is actually discouraged. So when you're missing some of these key nutrients, they don't recommend even taking supplements to make up for it. So these are some of the micronutrient deficiencies. They include B12, as you're not eating very many animal-sourced foods, you are very lacking in B12. Vitamin D and calcium are also in jeopardy because of the reduced dairy. And then iron and riboflavin are also micronutrient deficiencies that can occur with this diet. So numerous studies have shown negative effects from this diet, as it causes deficiencies in vitamin B12 and vitamin D, calcium and iron. And a high percentage of the whole grains and the avoidance of sugar do contribute to a healthier diet. However, due to the limitations of the variety of foods, this macrobiotic diet is not really recommended. These are my references, and thank you.